Howdy, movie snobs. Today we're saddling up and heading back to the Old West. Take a look at 2010's gunslinging DC Comics film, Jonah Hex. And I aim to put a fixin' on this movie. I appreciate Matt Burns for recommending this one this week. So let's take a shot and see if we can fix Jonah Hex. Jonah Hex, played by Josh Brolin, is a disfigured bounty hunter on a quest for revenge against a man who wronged him, Quentin Turnbull, portrayed by the brilliant John Malkovich. But before we ride off into the sunset, let's get to know our main man Jonah a little bit. Originating from DC Comics in the 1970s, Jonah Hex is a rough-around-the-edges anti-hero with a twisted sense of humor. He's a former Confederate cavalryman skilled in hand-to-hand combat and gunplay. And he can also communicate with the dead, thanks to some dark magic. With such a rich backdrop, one might expect smooth transition to film, but the production journey for Jonah Hex was as bumpy as a horse ride through the Rocky Mountains. The movie underwent significant reshoots, a change in directors, and major script rewrites. Director Jimmy Hayward, primarily known for animation, had his live-action debut with Jonah Hex, which added another layer of intrigue to the film's development. And now the big question: how did Jonah fare at the box office? Unfortunately for Jonah, there must have been a hex on the film, because the numbers weren't in his favor. Grossing under $11 million on a $47 million budget, the film sadly couldn't shoot its way to success. Critics weren't kind either, citing a rushed plot and lack of character development as major issues. But hey, every cloud has a silver lining, so let's rustle us up some trivia. Josh Brolin initially declined the role, but was convinced by his younger son to take on the character of Jonah Hex. Megan Fox, who played Lila, wore a corset so tight that during filming she could barely breathe. I want to thank my good pal Matt for recommending this movie. I haven't seen it since it came out in theaters, but it was good to go back and revisit it. And now let's get to fixing it. But this, I'm going to do as Mick Manhattan. Hope you guys enjoyed that character. So my fix for this is simple. Jonah Hex is a product of its time. In the early 2000s up to about 2010, it really seemed sporadic with what we were getting within the superhero world. And comics were being adapted at such a high rate because of the success of movies like Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and more. But Jonah Hex suffers because Jonah Hex is a different type of movie. It's a different type of everything. Even in the comics, Jonah Hex is a lot darker, it's a lot different. Now, if you go back and you read a lot of Jonah Hex's stories, or you've seen like animated version of the film, things like that, or you've seen him pop up in places, you know he's a darker figure. Now, they try to go dark with this, and you had a lot of great actors that were a part of this whole thing. I mean, John Malkovich and Michael Fassbender playing your villains, and Josh Brolin playing your good guy. How can you go wrong with acting like that? It's because with all the things that were going crazy, the rewrites and stuff like that, people didn't know what direction to take this in. And honestly, I chalk that up to people don't know how to make a good Western anymore because they're not keeping it simple. And I think that was always what tied Westerns in to a really good way. You know, even when we mixed them with our sci-fi, like Escape from New York or things like that that were heavily rooted in what Westerns were, we still kept it simple. We kept it gritty. We knew what the Old West was, and that's how we wanted to see it. Now, they tried with this, but they made it way too comic book oriented, and that's not who Jonah Hex is supposed to be. Yeah, there's magic elements. Yeah, there's a lot of different things that exist within the realm of DC Comics. But in the movie, I think you needed to go more gritty, and I think you needed to be more Western. It was a great revenge tale that you could have had some supernatural elements to it, but you didn't have to go too crazy, and they did. It's stylized, but it's not stylized enough. It's just too mimicky of what we got. I mean, look at Green Lantern. It came out around the same time as well. It just was missing the mark. DC has continually done that for a long time, and the only thing that was really hitting back then in the movie world was the Batman movies by Chris Nolan. So my fix for this would be make it gritty, make it dark, make it something different. Don't go for the superhero element just because you hear comic books. I think that Jonah Hex could be a lot of fun, and if it was redone really well. I would love to see Jonah Hex back up on the big screen, but how about you? Sound off. And do you think I have a good fix for it? Do you think that it should be grittier? Do you think it should be more of a Western? I'd love to hear what you guys think. Sound off in the comments. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. It helps us go a long way. Make sure to hit subscribe and the little bell, because then you'll know when we have more episodes like this come out and tons of other great shows as well. Thank you guys. You know, and whether it's the intriguing character of Jonah Hex from the comics or the controversies from the film, this movie has carved out its name, albeit with a mixed legacy. In the cinematic world, it stands out, and we do remember it. And I want to thank Matt again for giving me this movie. I truly appreciate it. This is a cool one to go back and revisit and fix. Thank you guys so much. Remember to be kind, stay groovy, and take care of each other. And I'll talk to you guys very, very soon. Bye.